Hello people of the web and YouTube, today I'm going to be talking about my octopi setup on my Raspberry Pi 3B. Now in today's video, I'm not really going to go over the whole setup process. It's pretty simple and straightforward. I'll just do a brief rundown on what you need to do in order to get everything running. But from there, I'm going to show you guys some settings and things that I set my octopi setup for my Ender 3 3D printer. First of all, to actually set up octopi, you gotta just basically download the image file. Now from here, you can use basically any image burning software you want to write that image file to an SD card for your Pi 3B. Now I'll list a few on screen right now that you can use to burn the image file. However, the one I like to use, and I suggest if you're a beginner to use, is Win32 Disk Imager. But before I continue on with the video, be sure to check out the description. I'll have all the download links that are required to get everything up and running, as well as the programs that I'm going to be using today. Now as you guys can already see, I got the image downloaded, and you essentially just want to load the image file up in Win32 Disk Imager and then select your device. I don't have my SD card in because it's currently in my Raspberry Pi and octopi is running. But what you really do is you just direct it towards your SD card and then you hit write. Yes, it's as simple as that. It takes some time. I'll have a video on screen of me doing it earlier. It takes maybe about 10 to 15 minutes, but after it's done, you essentially get a folder that should pop up automatically on your computer. If not, and the image file does get wrote to the SD card, you will have to navigate to this PC directory and then find the drive. But what you want to look for is your boot drive, then you want to edit some config files, specifically the WPA supplicant file. Now for obvious reasons, I can't really show you guys my info for my router, but you essentially just want to fill in your router's information in the WPA section in the notepad. Now I know this video makes it look a little jumbled up and gargled. You should use Notepad++. This file was intended to be used with those kind of better notepad editors out there. Just as long as you're using something like standard Notepad, you should be fine. But to simplify things, I'll just put on screen the commands and things that you need to change. You just want to change the SSID and the PSK. After you do that, you can save the file, eject the micro SD card, and put it in your Raspberry Pi 3. Now from here, it's pretty simple to get everything set up. You may want to put a password on your octopi setup. That's the first step after all. That is up to you. If you're just using a local router and you don't intend to connect your octopi to the internet, perhaps not adding a password is okay, but in most cases I suggest adding a password. Now from here, you could choose what settings are appropriate for your setup, but once you get to the build section, no, forgive me, it's called the printer profile section. You will need to change your printer's settings to match your own printer. If you got a rep wrap or a non-rectangular printer with a print bed, you want to make sure you select circular print bed instead of rectangular, and you also want to change your build volume. Alright, I found the setting again on the screen, but when you're setting it up, it will look something like this. For my printer, I want to set the form factor to rectangular. The origin, which is where the switch is, to the lower left, because that's where the switch is on my printer. And I want to make sure heated bed is checked, because my printer has a heated bed, but if yours does not, uncheck that. Other than that, you want to type in your printer's dimensions. Mine are 235 by 235 by 250, but depending on your printer, this may vary. Anyway, once you got that done, that should be the last setting you need to, well, edit, and your octopi setup should just start up and you should get a screen like this. However, yours won't be connected to your printer. Something I recommend doing beforehand is turning your printer on, then plugging in your Raspberry Pi. If you try to plug in the Raspberry Pi, then plug it into the printer without the power on, your Pi kind of backfeeds into the printer, turning on the printer's screen, and you can't really power the printer that way, so that's why I suggest not doing it like that. So first turn on your printer, then plug in your Pi, then plug in the USB cable to your printer, then to the Pi. From here you'll see a connections tab. You should leave everything on auto and just hit connect. But if you want to get really specific, these are some settings that mine automatically set up and detected if you want to try those out for your Ender 3. Anyway, since I got mine to auto connect, I'm just going to hit connect and it should stay connected. As long as my printer is on and the Pi is on, they will automatically pair and connect together. Now from here, you're pretty much ready to go. You can drag and drop G-code files into folders here, and you can just print off a file when you need them. But there are some things I recommend changing, especially for the Ender 3 3D printer. I ran into a few issues, specifically with pausing. When you hit the pause button, instead of moving the print head out of the way, it lingers on your print, leaving a pretty nasty mark. Now in some cases you can sand that off and it may be fine with you, however that is not fine with me. I want the stock standard normal pause function that comes with the Ender 3. I want to hit pause and move the print head out of the way away from my printer. How would I do that? Well, Octopi comes with a very wide range of settings. I'll just leave it at that, and if you hit the settings tab here, you got a lot of things to play with. Specifically, if you want the pause function to function correctly, you can go under G-code scripts, and then scroll down to after print job is paused, and to type this command in. This is essentially the default command for the Ender 3 that gets put into the G-code file through Cura. It just presents your print, and you put that in there, and when you pause, the print head will go to the far left, your print will come out, which will allow you to put stuff inside your print if your print is hollow, and it's just overall a nicer idea to move the print head out of the way when you pause your print. Anyway, if you guys want this code, I'll leave it down below in the description so you guys can just copy and paste it. Other than that, with Octopi, you got control where you can actually control the printer around remotely just by clicking the arrows here, and you also have an option to use a webcam stream. I would show this off, however I can't get any webcam that I have to work with my Octopi setup, so I'll have to figure that out and make a future video. But in theory, this is a good idea, so if you want to run your printer while in another room for an example, you can leave your printer run, then just check up on it periodically over the net, or just through your smart device. Also, if you have a webcam connected, you can set up a time-lapse configuration mode, which will actually move the print head out of the way, take a picture, then start printing for each and every layer so it looks like your 3D print is building itself. This should be pretty much plug and play. I don't think there's a whole lot of settings here that you need to configure to do that with. However, like I said, I don't have a compatible camera, so I can't take full effect of this feature yet. Now, one other feature I think you guys might like on the OctoPrint setup is the G-code viewer. Now, you can use the G-code viewer to, I believe you can view prints before you actually print them, or you can, let me just select a print, or you can see where the print is at in real time. So yeah, as you guys can see, I opened up this spider print, and I have full control over the G-code viewer. I could see what the print is before I print it, which is really nice. But yeah, let's say we want to print this. I've already loaded up the file, so all I'd have to do is hit print here, and it's good to go. If I just want to print straight away, I can just hit load and print. Now, some other cool features, which I'll have to explore later when I get the camera control all set up, is the plugins. There are some very cool plugins specifically with stringing, so if your print starts to fail, it can automatically pause or stop. I really want to get that on my Ender 3 because I think that'd be a useful feature. Other than that, if you're printing multiple things at once, there are some cool plugins which let you go in the G-code viewer here, and if you start to detect one of the prints are failing, you can just select it out, and that will tell it to not print that specific model, but print the rest of the models. So yeah, there's going to be a few more videos on the Octopi software in the future, but for now this is as far as I got with it, and this is basically all the setup and things I needed to change in order to get it to work. But yeah guys, I rambled on long enough. That's basically it for this video, but before I go, I want to specify something with the way you should turn this all off when you're done. When you're done, turn the Pi off first, then turn your printer off. If you don't want to do that, there are relay-based options available because the Pi is an open-air computer and you can't actually hook a relay up to it, then hook that relay up to your printer, so you could turn the printer on and off essentially with your Pi and just leave everything plugged in, which is something cool and I may explore in the future. But for the time being, I'm not going to be messing with any of that, but if it's something you guys want to see, let me know and I'll try to give it a go. But yeah guys, speaking of going, I'm gonna go for now. DTPK signing off. Peace. but overall the unboxing procedure for getting this printer out was pretty smooth. On animated mesh, and sometimes your character will jump up here, don't worry if it does.